We know a little bit about this graph now that we've talked about the end behavior. So let's start with that. When I want to graph a function such as the one I've got here, f of x equals x cubed. So we know it's an x cubed graph, and so one thing we know from our previous discussion there is the end behavior here. Since it's third degree and a is positive 1, a is greater than 0, what do we got for the end behavior? One's up, one's down. Which one's up, which one's down?
Left down.
Left is down, right is up. That's the way this third degree with a greater than 0 works. Okay, so when we get to graphing this, the left end will be down, the right end will be up. So we know a pretty good chunk of the graph right there, because as you go out this way, it's down and the right end is up, so you go out that way. All right, so what else are we going to do? Well, let's also get the intercepts. The y-intercept here, easy. Get the y-intercept, we said x to be 0. That's just going to be 0, isn't it? Get the x-intercept. We're going to set the y to be 0. The f of x, so f of x equals 0, so we're solving this equation here. 0 equals x cubed minus 4x. Which sometimes can get complicated, but this one's not so bad. Just factor off an x. And we could continue factoring, but let's just go ahead and say x equals 0, and then x squared minus 4 equals 0. So that's an x-intercept right there. This one, like I said, you could factor it, but you can also use the square root method. Add 4, square root both sides. Just have to remember it's plus or minus the square root of 4, plus or minus 2. And so that also gives us some good information. We got the y-intercept is 0. The x-intercept, of course, also an x-intercept is 0. And then we've got another x-intercept of 2 and negative 2. All right, well, pretty good information, but the other information to kind of, again, get the rest of the graph here, let's plot some other points. And specifically, what I'd like for you to plot are points between the x-intercepts. Yeah, so let's choose here. Our x-intercepts are negative 2, 0, and 2. So I think they're fairly obvious in this case. Let's go with x is negative 1 and x is positive 1. And come up with the y values, or the f of x values is what we're talking about here. Yeah, so to get the y values, just plug in those specific x value. Was that negative 1 plus 4? So that'd be a positive 3 for the y there. If x is negative 1, we got y is positive 3. You believe that? And then if x is 1, 1 minus 4, negative 3. And so yeah, that'll give us a good couple other points to shoot for. X is negative 1 is positive 3. X is positive 1 is negative 3. So yeah, now based on those graphs we did, we know that the polynomial function, how does it work? Well, it goes up smoothly and continuously. It goes through the graph there. And so yeah, let's just connect all this up. We know this end is down, so let's scoot it over just a little bit. I didn't quite put it. And it may or not peak there, but just kind of go through the points. Like I said, these are more rounded. They're not, don't make them, they're not that. It's smooth and
rolling.
Smooth and rolling, yeah. It's not abrupt.
You should see mine right now.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, go back and look at those ones that I've graphed on that handout, and they're smooth and there's no points to them. There's no corners, let's say. It's smooth and rounded. Okay. All right. Is that okay? Any other questions or concern? All right. There's another one then. F of x equals negative x cubed plus 4x squared plus 5x. All right, so same deal. In behavior, give me the in behavior. Well, again, it's a -1 is the a, and it's a cubic, so it's third degree. So third degree, a less than 0. So that's just the opposite of what we just did. Instead of the left being down, the right up, it's the other way around, isn't it?
Left up, right down.
The left is up and the right is down. All right, Y-intercept. That's just x is 0. Don't necessarily have to write it, but everything's 0, isn't it? Y-intercept 0. All right, the X-intercept. Negative x cubed plus 4x squared plus 5x. For purposes of factoring and things like that, my suggestion is if you've got a negative x cubed, if that's your largest term, and it's negative, I would move them to the other side just to make the factoring, because these that I do mostly factor until you get down to maybe the square root method. But yeah, so let's make it x cubed minus 4x squared minus 5x. Just add the x cubed term, subtract the 4x squared term, and subtract the 5x. Makes the factoring a little easier because these typically do factor. All right, so what do you see factoring? Common factor of x? Take an x out, so it'll be x times x squared minus 4x minus 5. And then this factors, again, we've got an x and x. Minus 5 with minus 4 in the middle, 5 and 1. And the minus is on the 5, 1 is positive. With me there?
Mm-hmm.
Sound good? All right. So we've got x is 0, that's an x-intercept. X minus 5 equals 0, so that would be x equals 5. And then x plus 1 equals 0, so that would be x equals -1. All right, so putting all that down here, we've got left is up, right is down. Know that. Y-intercept, again, we've got a y-intercept of 0. Then we've also got x-intercept 0 and -1 and 5. So those are my x-intercepts that I will have. Now the other thing then, let's plot points between the x-intercepts. That's what I'm looking for here. You can do some other points if you want, but those are the points I would like to do. Okay, well, yeah, we have to go to decimal right here. Between -1 and 0, no,
0.5.
let's go with -0.5. Sometimes you may have to do decimal, not a lot, but maybe. Now, between the 0 and 5, we've got a wide variety there we can choose. My suggestion is try to go sort of in the middle. I mean, you don't have to go exactly in the middle, but somewhere close to the middle, so 2 or 3. Let's go with 3. But instead of choosing one towards either side, like 1 or 4, I mean, you can do other points if you want, but a middle point would be best there. And 2.5 if you want, since we're going to have to do a 0.5 anyway, but with me there? All right, now, go back to this one. So we're going to plug in the 0.5 there, or negative 0.5, so it's a negative. You have to be careful, because you've got a negative here, and then the x is negative. So it's negative of the negative 0.5 cubed. You've got to be careful with signs there. Plus then 4 times negative 0.5 squared, plus 5 times negative 0.5. So yeah, you're going to cube the negative 0.5, but then you're going to negate that. So that's actually going to turn out to be, just write it right down here below. This will be a negative of a negative 0.125, I think, or something.
That's
right?
what I got. It'd be a positive one.
So it's going to be a positive 0.125.
Yeah, the end result. Yeah.
End result. And this will be 4 times negative 0.5 squared. That'll be a positive 0.25 because you're squaring a negative. So just have to be careful with your sign. So what does that all give me? I get, punch it in, right? Negative 1.625. Anybody else get that? Believe that? Close, anyway. All right, then the 3, yeah, obviously that's an easier one. So it'll be negative 3 cubed plus 4 times 3 squared plus 5 times 3. That's negative 27. 4 times 9 plus 36. Plus 15. Oh yeah, that's going to be a large positive. 24. Jumps quite a bit there. All right. So let's, since that was 24, let's mark these off by 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. So this will be negative 2 right here. So at negative 0.5, we've got a negative 1.625 somewhere in here. And then at 3, we're at 24. So yeah, so now it starts up here, comes down through here. Again, it's smooth, not corners. And then it comes back up through here. And it may, like I said, it may or may not peak there. Probably doesn't peak exactly at that one, but try to go through the points. All right. Question? Good with that? So far, so good? All right. Well, with this one. How about f of x equals negative x to the 4th plus 5x squared minus 4?
Both going to open down.
This one's going to open down. Yeah, this one's in behavior-wise, this is a 4th degree, isn't it? And a is less than 0. A is negative 1. And so that just tells me 4th degree, both up or both down. A is negative, so it's both down. Both ends down. All right, intercept, so the y-intercept, get something other than 0 here. Negative 4, yeah. The y-intercept, x 0, so plug in x be 0. That's 0, that's 0. So you wind up with negative 4. The x-intercept. Well, the x-intercept, we set y to be 0, which in this case is f of x. And so we get 0 equals the negative x to the 4th plus 5x squared minus 4. My suggestion is, move them over, yeah. Since this is a negative, I'd move those over. So it'd be a positive x to the 4th minus 5x squared plus 4 equals 0. Move all those, shift all those terms over. add the x to the 4, subtract the 5x squared, and add the 4. It makes it a little easier here to factor, hopefully. Well, there's no common term, and so if we just go to our factoring here, you got x to the 4, here's the way I look at it, you got x to the 4th, so both of these should be x squareds, right? X squared here, x squared here. Then we've got a plus 4 with a minus 5 in the middle, so that's going to tell me to be a positive 4, I need both of them negative, right? And 4 and 1. And so, yeah, that's going to give me x squared minus 4 equals 0, x squared minus 1 equals 0. Solve those however you want to. I would just say x squared, add the 4. Got x squared equals 4, square root. The only thing you have to remember there is the plus or minus. It's plus or minus 2, isn't it? For the x-intercepts there. Here you add the 1, so you got x squared equals 1, so x would be plus or minus the square root of 1. Plus or minus 1. Or x-intercepts. So that gets us both down. Y-intercept is negative 4. The x-intercepts, well, I've got 4 of them. Plus or minus 2. Plus or minus 1. So they're all crammed in there. And last but not least, then let's fill in a couple of points between the x-intercepts, and again, between these x-intercepts, we're going to have to go like negative 1.5. Good news is between these, I've already got one, 0. And then between those, positive 1.5. So it's really not too bad. All right, so if I plug in the negative 1.5 here and here, it'll be negative again, negative 1.54 to the 4, negative 1.5 to the 4th, plus then 5 times negative 0.15 squared minus 4. Yeah, I just have to pay attention to the negative signs and all that.
Okay, I got 8.75.
Positive 8.75?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Check here. I get 2.1875.
No, that's
Oh. Anybody else get positive 2.1875?
I did.
All right. For 0, we already know that's negative 4. We've already got that one. And then positive 1.5. I believe we're going to get the same as negative 1.5 in this case. Yeah, you just have to. The negative's on the outside here. And so you do your 1.5 to the 4th and then negate that. Yeah, so you get positive 2.1875. All right, so we put those on here. Negative 1.5, it's a little over 2. At positive 1.5, a little over 2. But see the graph there? Goes up, comes through, up to there, comes back down, goes through that, up again, back down. It's both into that. Good with that? All right, let me show you one more. Now we know. All right, so let's say we've got f of x equals x to the 4th minus 15x squared. So again, we got 4th degree, but a is positive, so both ends up.
Yep.
The y-intercept, easy. set y to be 0. That's going to be 0. X-intercept, y is 0, so it's 0 equals x to the 4th minus 15x squared. And so if I factor off the x squared here, common factor of x squared, so it'll be x squared minus 15. So I've got x squared equals 0, x squared minus 15 equals 0. Well, that's just x equals 0. This one, though, what have we got here?
Square root of 15.
Square root of 15 or negative square root of 15, right? Which that's, what is that, about
3.872.
3.87? All right. Let's put those up here. Got both ends are up. Y-intercept 0, X-intercept 0, and then negative 3.87 and positive 3.87. So when I go to my table here, between them, so between these two, let's go with negative 2. Between these two, let's go with positive 2. See what we get. Negative 2 to the 4th minus 15 times negative 2 squared. Well, that's 16 minus 15 times 4. Oh, that's a large negative value. Negative 34. Did I do that right? Checking on that.
Negative 44, I did.
Negative 44. Thank you. Just checking. And then here, 2 to the 4th minus 15 times 2 squared, same thing. Both of them are negative 44. So if I go, let's go by 5, negative 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So it's negative 44. Negative 2. And positive 2. The reason I show you this one is because here's what happens. All right, so we go down through this one, and it's coming back down, and at some point turns around, goes to that point. But when it comes to this point, we've got the y-intercept, x-intercept, but where does it go from there?
Back down.
It's got to go back down. It doesn't cross it there, because if I cross there, I'm not going to be able to go through that point. Am I? So it just kind of turns around there. That's why I wanted to show you this one. There's a turnaround at that x-intercept there. And then it goes back down and back up. Through. Okay?